साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः शर्वः प्रचोदयात्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः शर्वः प्रचोदयात्। साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः शर्वः प्रचोदयात्।
Thank you, sister. Moving forward, I take great pleasure to introduce all of you to the speaker and guest of today's session. Today is indeed a very remarkable day of Bhagwan in this entire summer course session, as Bhagwan has sent a very special blessing to all of us in the form of today's speaker. She is Dr. Professor Rani P.L. Rani, Associate Professor and Head, Department of English, Language and Literature, Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. Rani ma'am, as lovingly called by her student, is a fortunate Balvika student from Kerala who joined the Anantapur campus for her intermediate course in 1988. After which, she completed her Bachelor in Physics in 1993, and then with Bhagwan's instruction, she pursued her post-graduation in English. Then again with Bhagwan's instruction, she joined her alma mater in 1996, this time as the faculty member, which she considers to be the greatest blessing of her life. In her 3 decades at the Anantapur campus, she has significantly contributed to the multifarious activities such as the hostel publication division, various cultural and co-curricular activities and events. Also, as a former member of the Anantapur Women's Band, Dr. Rani is highly instrumental in the growth of Anantapur Brass Band. As an inspiring speaker, she is blessed by Bhagavan to speak in his divine presence. It's been 3 decades and there is no looking back. As a dedicated teacher, she feels it's a blessing to shape young lives and make them masterpiece to offer at her master's feet. She will be talking to us on the topic Lessons from Bhagavad Gita. With these words, we welcome you, ma'am, to this summer course. And it's indeed a pleasure and honor, a blessing to have you today. I welcome you once again, ma'am. We also have with us the guest observers today. They are Dr. Srimati Nayantara Chotrai, the State Education Coordinator, Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization, Odisha, Srimati Rasmi Badi, and Srimati Puspalata Jaina, District Education Coordinator of Baleshwar District and Jajpur, respectively. More than 80 dynamic participants have also joined us in this session. The whole team of summer course welcome all of you to this session. And with immense joy, may I now request Professor Dr. Ms. Rani Patel to kindly speak to us on the topic, Lessons from Bhagavad Gita. Over to Rani ma'am. Sai Ram. Sai Ram ma'am, we request you to kindly talk to us on the topic. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. I hope the audio is clear.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay. My humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. Dear Sai sisters and participants of this lovely summer course, it is the first time that I am having to speak on such a platform at this hour of the day, 7 a.m. So I wish to begin this with an appropriate bhajan. Pratah Smaranam Shri Guru Charanam Saisha Charanam Shri Guru Charanam Pratah Smaranam Shri Guru Charanam. Offering our collective pranams to Bhagwan. I thought the topic given to me today, since it is lessons from the Bhagavad Gita, I would first take you to Prashanti Mandir before we begin our session. What you see on your screens is the Gita-Padesha, which is depicted in the Bhajan Mandir at Prashanti Nilayam. I'm sure many of you know this and have seen this at the back of the hall. So in 1950, when Bhagwan started the Prashanti Mandir, if at that point in time Bhagwan got this done in the mandir, that is enough validity of the importance and significance that Bhagwan gives to Bhagavad Gita itself. So from Prashanti Mandir, we will begin our journey this morning. When I start, I want to look at the three key terms that caught my attention when I received the invitation. It said, an online summer course for Sai youth. So I want to dwell a little bit on the three terms online, summer course, and Sai youth in the course of my talk. First, we will pick the term online itself. It's very strange. Most avatars that we know of, the Rama avatar, the Krishna avatar, couldn't be caught by digital technology. We are so lucky that we could catch this avatar using technology that today we are able to see him again and again, watch videos, listen to the discourses simply because of the availability of technology. And the two pictures that you can see on your screens are instances where Bhagwan himself brought the first ever computers to his campuses. One of the men's campuses, and below, the picture below is when he brought the first computer to the Anandpur College. So Bhagwan himself has been a very, if I can say, progressive avatar who allowed us to use technology. And this technology today is allowing us to also meet online to have this fantastically planned summer course. Talking about how technology helps this online platform, I remember a couple of things that Bhagwan has said. It was sometime in the late 90s. Our then principal, late Professor Jayalakshmi Gopinath, known to our students as Jema Madam, she was in a big confusion because some teachers requested that they get permission to fix internet to their computers in the quarters. Now, being a very elderly person, far remote from all the technological advances, she was making her own inquiries about whether it was all right for Bhagwan's campus to have internet connections. And there were some amateurs with half knowledge who told her, or probably full knowledge, who told her that internet has a lot of bad things in it. If you go onto the internet, you can see a lot of bad videos, you get to know a lot of bad things. So probably that's not the right thing for Bhagwan's campus. There were another set of teachers who told her, it is very useful for academics, we can be up to date, we can get to know what's happening in Western universities, we can get a lot of rich teaching material, and so on. So not knowing what exactly to do, that summer when Bhagwan called us into Trayi Brindavan for an interview, she posed this question to Bhagwan. I was very amused because I was a very young teacher and I thought, oh, you could even ask these things to Bhagwan. So she asked Bhagwan, Swami, some teachers want to have internet in their computers. Is it okay to permit it? Because I hear there are a lot of bad things on the internet. You know how simply and how beautifully Bhagwan answered. He said, Bangaru, manchi chedda, good and bad, is not in the computer. It is in the composer, the one who makes the computer and uses the computer. You have to choose what is good from even technology, Swami said. So I recalled this the minute I heard that this is going to be an online session. So you're actually putting to the best use technology that you have. But the flip side of it, Bhagwan always told us, technology is trick knowledge, according to Bhagwan. I was pondering and always been pondering, why does he call it trick knowledge? One, of course, technology can trick us at any time. Suddenly the power can fail. Suddenly there can be a technical snag. We can say there is no network. So I'm sure we're all praying that the organizers especially are praying that there is no technical snag and this session goes on well. So also the entire summer course. So that is one. But last night when I was thinking of this point, I got yet another thought. Technology is also trick knowledge because it can trick us. If you know a lot of technology, like the IT teams, etc., it can trick us into thinking that we have a lot of knowledge and there is nothing more to know. If we know coding and software technology and hardware technology, we probably will be tricked to think that we know a lot, which we know is not the truth. There is much higher knowledge to know. The third point about technology that I wanted to say is IT is usually expanded as information technology. We are using this technology to get more and more information, and you specifically today are using it to get information about some sacred texts like the Bhagavad Gita. But in the most recent times, it is also known as immersive technology. They create this virtual reality. You imagine that I can sitting here just wearing a pair of glasses like the Oculus. I can imagine that I'm in a cricket ground. That's called immersive technology, but I hope and pray that we are able to use technology to immerse ourselves in the thoughts of the divine. With these few thoughts on the word online and technology, I will go to the next most important and the key term in this entire title, and that is Summer Course. The term summer course brings a lot of beautiful memories, a flood of memories to my mind, because I have been fortunate to attend at least half a dozen summer courses that Bhagwan personally organized at Brindavan. The pictures that I dug out of my old albums last night show you a very small glance and glimpse of how Bhagwan is a big part of the entire procedures of the summer course. In the first picture on the left, you find him interacting with us casually on the sands of Brindavan, where the Sai Ramesh Hall stands today. Below that is actually the Sai Ramesh Hall, the stage itself, where Bhagwan used to in the later years sit for bhajan. He's clicking a picture with all of us before we finished the summer course and left to Anandpur. On the right is a very amusing scene. The president of Mauritius was coming for the valedictory function that year. So Bhagwan was particular that all of us wore the same kind of sari, and we had a procession from Mandir right up to the college where the summer course used to happen. So he distributed these saris to us the previous day inside Trai, and then came out in the morning to watch us go in lines singing bhajans and chanting the Veda. You find him standing and watching us, go in this procession, taking the president in a procession for the valedictory function of the summer course. Now, all this is, of course, two purposes. One is to let all of us have a peek at some of those rare pictures of Bhagwan, which might not be in the public domain. So I thought in the morning, better than listening to me talking so much is also for you to have a feast of Bhagwan's pictures. Secondly, to let you know what a big part of Bhagwan the summer course is, and what a big part of summer course Bhagwan is. And I wish, just like how nothing else has changed with Bhagwan's physical form leaving our presence, this also, I hope, is the same. For you, while you're having the summer course, I hope you'll be able to connect to what I'm saying now. To me, summer course is all about, if I have to put it in a single phrase, Sarvam Sai Mayam. Because our hostel used to be just about 200 meters from Bhagwan's residence. So we would chant the Suprabhatam so loud enough to deafen Bhagwan's ears with our volume of sound. We would go for our breakfast to the Kalyan Mandap. Those of you who know the topography of Brindavan, you have Bhagwan's Trai Brindavan. To the left of it is the Kalyan Mandap, where we used to have all our meals. Then the boys' hostel, and with a small gap, the girls' hostel. So we used to go to the Kalyan Mandap, and the breakfast is because you have a window view of Bhagwan's room. So you're all the time trying to get a place in the dining hall through the window of which you can see Bhagwan's window, and you hope to see an orange splash. After breakfast, you're rushing to get the most viable spot in darshan ground, because Bhagwan might come from this corner or from that corner, surely always from this corner, so you want to be in one of those places. After darshan, you're going quickly to the college auditorium, which is about 300-400 meters from the darshan ground. And in the auditorium, you're trying to get a place along the aisle, because while the sessions are on, in the middle of sessions, Bhagwan might just come in and sit amongst the audience, of course, on the boys' side, and we want to be the closest to see him. What if you don't get a place that you want? We're always tarrying and going slow so that you can be last, and then it'll be made to sit on the floor in the front. And that's a very plumb position, because when Bhagwan gets down from the car, you might just have the chance to open the door for him, or you might just have the chance for Bhagwan to walk by you. So then you have these sessions where speakers like us, scholars actually would come and speak. But one ear and one eye is always at the back door, because Bhagwan will quietly enter in the middle of the session and will not let anybody disturb the session. So you'll just very quietly slip into the auditorium and sit amongst the audience seat. But you don't want to miss that, seeing that. So half an eye, half a year is there, while the rest is making copious notes. Unlike today, I don't know, one of the very, very big parts of the summer course was when Bhagwan used to give us himself with his own hands the diary on which, the books in which we used to make notes. Like I said, digital technology was not so rampant. Every word of Bhagwan's discourse and the lectures we would make note of. I don't know. I hope the participants, about 85 of you are there. I hope you're making notes, not just this session. I'm talking about the whole summer course itself. Because today, when I open my old summer course notebooks, it's such a big treasure. The printed version of the discourse that you find in Sathya Sai Speaks does not tell me, no, I have written in my notes, Bhagwan coughed, Bhagwan stopped here, paused, drank water, Bhagwan wiped his face with it. Even to those tiny details we have written down, and that gives such a nice feeling when you read it today after 15, 20 years. So, and these books, this pens, the diaries, the badges, Bhagwan would give it to us himself with his own hands. And then we made the notes, then we would rush for lunch, and then we are hoping to get a line in the dining hall because Swami would come by for the lunch sessions. Either he walks past your line, he looks at your plate, and then he tells you, have you eaten enough? Why only this much? If you're lucky to be in the serving table, Bhagwan sometimes serves your plate for you. And then you go back to the afternoon session only to look forward to the evening when we have the divine discourse every evening. And after the discourse, again for dinner, Bhagwan would come most of the times. After dinner, we would go back and have Parayanam sessions where we discuss the whole day's talks, the whole day discourse before we went to bed. Why am I giving this detailed description? Because summer course was all about Bhagwan. From morning to night, we had no other thought. We're all the time thinking how to catch a glimpse of Bhagwan, how to listen to what he's saying, how to behave ourselves so that Bhagwan will bless us with a chance, with an opportunity, with a Padnamskar, etc. So I wish, hope and pray that summer course even now has not changed. I hope that even now, from the 5 o'clock routine that you have, to the Maunam, to the talk, and all the sessions that you have, I hope uppermost in your mind, you're able to push away all other thoughts and have Bhagwan as one constant thought. Because as we go ahead to lessons from Gita, we know one of the shlokas which says, Ananyas Chindayanto Mam, the one who thinks of me without thinking of anybody else. So, that is what summer course to me means. The term summer course, this is the memory. There's a flood of memories that comes to my mind the minute I think of summer course. But was summer course only about darshan, lunch, mangoes, etc.? Swami used summer course also to reveal to us who he is. A quick instance of this. This was 1991 summer course. Actually, the summer course was over, 15-day summer course. Summer course was over. The exam, the last day was to have an exam. Exam was also over. We were all supposed to leave back to our own campuses when suddenly that morning, I think it was June 3rd, Swami called all of us into the auditorium. And that day he said only students and staff and no guests. And he got all the doors closed, bolted, with just the students and staff inside. And Swami gave us a discourse. This discourse, Swami told us his childhood, about his childhood. Swami said about how he didn't have a second pair of clothes to change, how he walked all the way to Pushpagiri because he didn't have money. He told us about all the difficulties he went through when he was a child. Now, Swami, you know how Swami can narrate. In Swami's description was so touching that all of us were, oh, poor Sathya, how much of trouble he went through. We were all listening to him with so much keenness, and a lot of people had tears welled up in their eyes listening to the troubles that young Sathya had gone through. Almost towards the end of that session, suddenly, Swami said, Kani, but you're thinking about young Sathya, who didn't even have a pair of shorts or shirts to change, who sold his old textbooks to somebody else. Yuga Yugantaralu ee chetilo unnai, Swami said. Suddenly, yugas are in these palms. It was a sudden shift from, oh, poor little boy who suffered so much, to a divine being full of power. And then he said, Meeku namakam lekapothe chudandi. If you don't believe, see this. And he created what you see in the picture. What is that? What you see in the picture, Bhagwan was telling us, is Nala Damayanti's Mangala Sutra. When Nala and Damayanti, Bhagwan said, were getting married, there was the swan which used to carry their messages across the lake. So when Nala was getting married to Damayanti, he asked her, what would you like as your Mangala Sutra? And she said, let us have the image, the pendant of a swan, in memory of that swan which helped to bring us together. And Swami said, it is a three-dimensional diamond. It's entirely diamond-studded locket. It's not very clear in the picture. So Bhagwan said, this is what is Nala Damayanti's pendant, Mangal Sutram. And then everybody was so eager to see this close quarters because it's a huge auditorium with thousands of us sitting there. Swami came down, as you can see, in the gen side, row by row, in between the seats, Swami went to show this picture, show this pendant. And on the lady side, he came on both the aisles in the middle of the auditorium, wherever there was a pathway, to show it to us as close as we could see it. So Summer course was also an occasion for Bhagwan to reveal to us his supreme divine power. As much as he took care of our lunch, our meals, whether we got mangoes, he also used the occasion to reveal to us his divine power. Swami finished showing the lockets to all of us. He was climbing the stairs back, and then he did this, and it was gone. So these are some of my quick memories of the summer course itself. Now the third term. Summer course in Indian culture and spirituality. You see, whenever Bhagwan held a summer course, it is called Summer Course in Indian Culture and Spirituality. All the organizations, when they hold a summer course, they call it Summer Course in Indian Culture and Spirituality. I want to quickly, because I believe a lot of the participants here are youngsters, the youth, why in Indian culture and why not in some other topic? This is because, firstly, there is a very widespread notion that the youth of the country do not care for its culture. This is a general thing that most of the older generations say. They say, the youngsters, they have no respect for India's culture. But I think a little differently about this. If you ask any youngster if he or she is proud to be an Indian, we get a very big yes. I did this in my college, and all of them said, yes, we are very proud to be Indians. Then where is the problem? If you're proud to be Indians, then where is the problem in your following Indian culture and tradition? The problem is because despite your love for Indian culture, we are not able to implement it in our lives. I say I love Indian culture, but I really like to ape the West. I prefer more Western dressing than Indian attires. I prefer pizza and pastas to probably Indian cuisines. I like to use the American slangs than a Sanskrit phrase here or there. So this is where people find a dichotomy, a division in our being proud of being Indians and in our reflecting that Indianness in our daily lives. I feel this is because we are not convinced of what is right, what is wrong. Our younger generation just needs to be a little more convinced about it. It's definitely not because they do not love Indian culture, they do not feel pride, but it's because they're unable to differentiate between right and wrong. Now, this topic help Indian culture, a summer course on Bhagavad Gita, etc., help in understanding what is right and wrong? Very simple. There are, they say, 4 ways to determine what is right and what is wrong. What are these 4 ways? First, every individual, each one of us, has in us a sense of right and wrong. Each of us feel, oh, this is right, this is wrong, in whichever matter. That is the individual sense of right and wrong. Secondly, we have a societal sense of right and wrong. In this society, this is accepted. In this society, this is not accepted. What is accepted in certain societies is not accepted in certain other societies. Now, what happens is society is run by a few authoritative individuals. If these individuals lose focus, become people with self-interest, then that societal sense of right and wrong also will go wrong. Then that's when you have what is called the legal procedures. Law tells you what is right, what is wrong. Law is in the hands of those who implement it. If they have the larger picture of the larger good of the entire humanity, then it will run well, Bhagwan says. But otherwise, even law many times cannot implant goodness in people. That's where the scriptures have a role. Scriptures, they're all written by selfless sages. They're written, in fact, so many texts we don't even know who wrote it. And they wrote it not to get fame, name, or to make money. They didn't tie up with Penguin publishers to make a lot of money by writing the Mahabharata or the Kanakadhara Stotram. It was written with the welfare of the larger humanity in mind. Therefore, Bhagwan says, following the scriptural right and wrong is the best thing. Which is why I believe Bhagwan has always had summer courses in texts relating to scriptures. We've had summer courses on Ramayana, on the Mahabharata, on, of course, Bhagwan is to talk about Bhagavad Gita, and so on and so forth, which is why today we have chosen this topic on lessons from the Bhagavad Gita, which are chapters 7 to 9 of Summer Showers in Brindavan, 1972. As you can see, summer showers, meaning very hot days in summer. The cool showers come when Bhagwan speaks, when we have Bhagwan's discourses, when we listen to beautiful things from our scriptures. This particular topic and text especially pleased me because the summer course of 1972, when I was born, and these chapters which was allotted to me very coincidentally and much to my pleasure, Bhagwan mentions the Anandpur Girls College. Anandpur Girls College, and he talks about, you must have read it, he says, in Anandpur we have a college, it's a girls' college, but when they put up a drama for their college day, one of them dresses up as the Maharaja. He has a mustache, he has a turban, he wears men's clothes. One of them dresses as a Maharani. But although to the audience they appear as king and queen, the actual actor is all the time aware that he or she is not the king or the queen, but is a student of the girls' college. That is reality. The roles we play is Maya, which is temporary. So, in the same vein, I believe all of us play different roles in our lives. I am Rani. Rani is the daughter of so-and-so. I am Dr. Rani. She's a professor of this college. I am Professor Rani. She's a speaker at the summer course. I am, Rani, a neighbor to so-and-so. So we play different roles, daughters, sons, neighbors, professionals, etc. Now, all these are different roles like the character of the Maharaja and the Maharani. But who am I? Am I the daughter? Am I the professor? Am I the participant of the summer course? Am I a side devotee? In all these sentences, the only thing that is common is the word I. I am this, I am that, I am that, we say. So I is common, and that's why Bhagavan says it's very important to understand who is this I, which is unchanging, not the small I, the big I, unchanging, permanent, same for everybody. When I say I am Rani, Subodha says I am Subodha, Mohanty says I am Mohanty, Batra says I am Batra. Now, although Batra, Mitra, Mohanty, Subodha, Rani, everybody is different, I has not changed, which means that I is same and it is constant, and that is real because it is unchanging. Bhagwan says, find out who this I is. So our little efforts in the rest of the talk, which is the main part of my talk, is to find out what are the tiny steps we can take towards understanding this I. I have listed out a few lessons in general from the 3 chapters that are mentioned here. Lesson 1. Be available and be eligible. This, according to me, is one of the first lessons relevant for all of us today. Arjuna and Krishna were friends for 80 years. But all those 80 years, Bhagwan Krishna did not give him the gyan that he's giving him on the battlefield. Why did he choose the battlefield? Why did he choose Arjuna and not Bhishma, not Dharmaraja, or not Bhima to give this Bhagavad Gita, Gitopadesha? This is because of these two qualities, his availability and his eligibility. And I think this is very important for us as Sai devotees, as people working in Bhagwan's organization. I would like to dwell a little bit on this. Be available. Firstly, we have to be available for Bhagwan. What does that mean? Bhagwan, I am available for you. Use me however you want me to be used. Now, there is this very famous line that everybody says. You have to be only available. He will make you able. Sometimes we don't have the ability. But if availability is there, you are available for God, He will make you, give you the ability. And this is a very, very open secret in Sathya Sai institutions. You will find an MBA student becoming a sound engineer. You will find an industrial engineer becoming a professor. You will find a government clerk being an IT professional. In the Sathya Sai organization, just about anybody and everybody, when they are available for Bhagwan's work, suddenly become able to do that work. So many of us, till you joined the organization, you did not know that you could sing until you started singing bhajans. You never knew you would touch a harmonium until you started going for bhajans. You never knew you could play a tabla. So, if you are available for Bhagwan, He will give you the ability, make you able. So, avail the possibility to become able. That is, avail plus able. That is the first lesson that we have to learn in the organization, in Bhagwan's presence. Be available. Don't say, oh, Sunday, no, this Sunday I'm not available, I'm doing this. Of course, there are practical reasons, but I'm saying in general, an attitude, it's an attitude. If we have the attitude of availability for God, He will make us capable. And then the second point is eligible. Now, Arjuna, in the beginning, when he started getting the doubts, he thought he has to use his own intelligence. Yeah, if I do like this, as a warrior, I have to kill. If I kill, what will be the thing? As long as he depended on his own thinking, his own rationale, he was not eligible to receive the Gita-Padesha. The minute he became so highly confused that he had to surrender to Lord Krishna, he became eligible to receive the jnana. And Swami gives us very beautiful lessons through the stories of Dharmaraja and Bhishma. Dharmaraja had so many virtues. He's the most righteous person that is called Dharmaraja. Why didn't Krishna give the Gita to Dharmaraja? Why did he give it to Arjuna, who had fewer qualities? Because of one quality in Dharmaraja, Swami says. Dharmaraja had paschatapa and not purvatapa. Paschatapa is to regret after a deed is done. Purvatapa is to think of the consequences before performing the deed, like Arjuna did. Before he started the war, when he saw his Gurujanam there in the opposite field, he said, "Can I really kill all these elders? My Guru, Bhishmacharya, Dronacharya? Is it right? Will I ever get over the sorrow of killing them? Is it dharmic just to get the land back, the kingdom back?" He regretted, he thought of the consequences even before he started the war. What did Dharmaraja do? Dharmaraja always, Bhagwan says, had only paschatapa. You perform a deed and then you say, "Oh, I wish I had not done this." Agreed to the war. Now what's the whole point? So, a very important quality for all of us, lesson for all of us, is to always think before acting. And I'm telling this to myself also. We are all evolving as pilgrims. Not have paschatapa, which is regret after the action. Taking Bhishma. Why didn't Krishna choose Bhishma to give the Gita-Upadesha? Swami says Bhishma is so scholarly, such an elderly person, the right maturity of thought to get this gyan from Krishna. Why was Bhishma not chosen? Because Bhishma always agreed that the Pandavas were in the right. Yet he was the army chief of the Kauravas. There was no harmony between what he thought and what he did. Now, this is again another important lesson for all of us, because harmony between thought, word, and deed is an absolutely important quality that Bhagwan looks for. And I have seen circumstances where it is difficult to say what you think and to do what you think. But if you have been honest, Bhagwan helps you through that situation. I'll give you a very quick, small example for this. These are tiny things that we come across in our daily life. So there was one occasion when 4 of us were put together to work on a program, on a cultural program in the college. 2 of them were very new and young teachers who had just joined. So, being the senior of the group, I initiated an email to say, these are the tasks that are allotted to us. When can we do it? What's your convenient time? Etc. etc. But it was a very rushed time because there's so many things to be done. It was a very major event in college. Somehow, for 4 days, I didn't get a response from 2 of them, while the others responded saying, at this time we can do it, this time we can meet, this job we can do, and so on. Finally, the day came, the task was done. But those 2 in the team who didn't respond or who didn't participate, it was bothering me because they were young and newly joined. So I felt I should train them in better, professional practice. They should respond to the email because Swami would expect that. But if I say that, sometimes when you have to say these things to the youngsters, you're not very popular. So I was wondering, if I said it, will I say it in the same right tone? Will I say it with love, as Swami would want me to? Will I offend them? I thought for 3-4 days, and then I said, no, I should say it, and I should say it rightly, because it's important to set good practices amongst every generation that comes after you. So one day after prayer, I met one of them and I said, hey, remember you got an email? Yes. I didn't get a response. Don't you think you should have? Ma'am, I got busy with something else. The director gave me some other task, so I couldn't. I said, yeah, that's perfectly okay. But don't you think you should have communicated? You should have responded. So yeah, I said, see, even professionally, this is very important to learn to respond to a communication on time. Bhagwan would be very particular, I would think. So please get into the practice of responding to communication. I left the place. I don't know if it was altogether a happy conversation. I tried to make it as loving and happy as possible. But it somewhere lingered in my mind that I had to even say it because everybody is a grown up. It's not like telling students when you have to tell your colleagues. That afternoon, for some reason, the Radio Sai heart to heart message popped up on my email box. In fact, after I finished this and went, that's usually the first thing I do in the morning. I quickly read the thought for the day and I'd brushed it aside. But while reading the thought for the day, I'd noticed that that day's audio was conversation with our earlier controller of examinations of the university, Professor Nanjundaya Garu. So I noted it mentally that this will be a good conversation to listen to and I should listen to it. So sometime late in the afternoon when I found some time, I opened the conversation. It said part 3 and Karuna Munshi of Radio Sai was interviewing Professor Nanjundaya. And this part 3, I had not listened to part 1 and 2. It said, this is about letters that Bhagwan has written to Professor Nanjundaya. Today's conversation is based on a lot of letters that Sir has, which Bhagwan has written to him. So the conversation opens. She says, Swami, Sir, you have been very lucky to receive letters from Bhagwan. Can you read a small excerpt from one of the letters? So he opens the file, I suppose. He's reading the first line. He says, blessings from me. Bhagwan has written, I am sorry that I could not respond to you for 1 week for the letter that you wrote to me. As soon as he reads this, the interviewer stops, Karuna stops Sir and says, Sir, do you think Bhagwan, he being Bhagwan, he didn't have to say sorry to you. He has so many important things to do. Responding to your letter is not one of those important things. Why did he even say? And then the conversation picks up and they're talking about how Bhagwan is very particular that communication should be responded to. And that he took 1 week, he's apologizing, although he's God himself, shows that he's very particular about communicating on time. The minute I listened to it, my hair stood on its ends. And of course, I forwarded the link to my colleagues. And I felt it was Bhagwan's showing me that when I thought I must mention it to them, Bhagwan was also supporting me that yes, certain things that need to be done, whether that is happy or not so happy. So this is talking about being eligible. We have to make... Hello. So Bhagwan was, Bhagwan was very particular. Is the audio going good? Hello.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So Bhagwan was very, so in tiny little ways, we have to make ourselves eligible to be part of his mission. And how did Arjuna make himself eligible? By surrendering totally and completely, which is my next part. But before I go in there, talking about availability and eligibility, I want to talk about the third key point, that is Sai youth that we are addressing today. I feel this availability and eligibility is already taken for granted in Sai youth, because this is my theory. If you look at 4 Fs, the youth anywhere in general in the world, I'm just making a very general statement, are concerned with 4 F's. Fashion, always keep up to date. Films, friends, have a lot of fun, party, picnic, bike rides, whatever. These 4 F's, I believe, is very important to youth in general, everywhere. But if you compare and contrast the Sai youth, you find the 4 F's for the Sai youth is very different. Rather than spending time to be up to date in your fashion, you would rather spend your time to improve your faith in Bhagwan. Which is this participating in the summer course is a good example, because you could have been just sleeping in because it's holiday, nobody needs to go to the office, you don't need to work. Why sign up for a summer course and wake up at 5 o'clock? Rather than spending a lot of time, once I was surprised when I asked one youngster how he spent his vacation. He said, I watched 4 movies a day for 2 months. Can you imagine that? 60 days, 4 movies, 250 movies. What a beautiful way to spend time, right? But here is a group of youth, the Sai youth, who are trying to find freedom from the shackles of what their contemporaries are doing. What is true freedom? It's not license. Freedom is not license to do anything you want. Freedom is when you feel mentally not bound to anything. You don't feel bound to keep up to date with the latest fashion, with the latest film. In mind, you know what is right and what you want to do. That's a sense of freedom that you feel at the end of doing the right things. Third, Sai youth is always trying to achieve a sense of finesse, because we have a Bhagwan who is so perfect in tiny little things. I remember once, Bhagwan was in the college, and some people were waiting outside his room where he was meeting some elders with a photograph and an ink pen to get Bhagwan to sign on the picture photograph. So they kept the ink pen open for so long because you have to be exactly ready. When Bhagwan really came and she handed over the picture and the pen to Bhagwan with a prayer to that Bhagwan signs on the picture, the ink nib had dried up. So the pen was not writing. Very naturally, what would any of us do with an ink pen? We would just shake it and a drop would fall and then we would continue to write. That's what anybody would do. You know what Bhagwan did? He made his way to the edge of the corridor where there was a canal for the rainwater. He walked there and everybody's wondering why he saw me walking away with the pen and the picture. He went to the canal and there he shook the pen and allowed the ink drop to fall. He didn't do it where he was standing. To this extent, Bhagwan is so particular about how he does things. That's why there is a finesse about him, fineness and a perfection about how he does things, which is what I would think Sai youth in the organizations is also trying to emulate. Whether it is about being well groomed, well shaven, wearing neat clothes, the way you do certain things. In fact, I was so impressed yesterday, the way it is organized, the organizers. There's X who calls me with the request. There is Y who calls me to confirm the request. There is Z who calls me to do the IT testing. There's, everything is doing things in a perfect, as close to perfection as possible is another quality of a Sai youth. And you do this whether you are in the office, whether you are at work, whether you are in Seva, which is why the Sai youth also most often stand out in their workplaces. And the final fourth F that I want to talk about is felicity, a sense of well-being, sense of contentment. You're not all the time discontent with life. And overall, you see it in the faces of Sai youth. There is a brightness, there is a cheer, there is a sense of contentment, sense of happiness and joy, despite what life throws at you, because you know that there is something higher than all of this drama that happens around us. So I believe the Sai youth is already, we are only in lesson 1. I don't know how much time we have. Okay, it's already 8. So Sai youth, while the youth elsewhere is so preoccupied with fashion, films, friends, and fun, the 4 F's, Sai youth is preoccupied with increasing their faith, their sense of freedom, their finesse, and their felicity. Lesson 2. Bhagwan says, develop prema and not kama. Kama, very crudely translated, is desire. Prema is love. But what do we do usually when we talk about love? We say, oh, I love brinjals. I love yellow color. I love the rain. I love Bhagwan. What an anticlimax. We use the same word love to describe everything of the world and also God. The word love, according to Bhagwan, is so pure that you cannot use it to describe all the attachment and affection we feel for things of the world. And somehow we do not distinguish the two. What we feel for the matters of the world of creation is attachment, is affection, is desire. But what we feel for higher things in life, for divinity, for our souls, for God, that is prema. So how is the difference to be understood? Bhagwan, lovely, one thing I enjoyed while reading these chapters was the lovely number of examples, simple examples that Bhagwan gives to make us understand big philosophical truths. Swami says, prema is like flowing water, crystal clear, neat, clean, pure. When water is flowing, there's no chance, even if somebody dirties it, it flows away with the water. Whereas kama or desire is like stagnant water. You see how stagnant water is? After a few days, there will be a lot of dirt accumulating. You will find worms, insects growing in it, bacteria, mosquitoes breed in it. That is stagnant water. Desire is like stagnant water. Kama, prema is like flowing water. Why? Because kama is usually for one single individual. When you say we love so and so, it is a desire for so and so. Because it is pointed and focused towards one person, it is stagnant, or one thing. It is stagnant, it's not flowing. Whereas real love flows. How does it flow? I love everybody I come across. I love everybody I meet because they're all parts of the divine. And loving more and more and more people in the real sense of the term, without attachment, without desire, eventually reaches the divine, which is pure love. So flowing from one to the other, that is divine love. The love that I have received from Bhagwan is the love that I pray flows through me to all of you today. Some of you who might not have ever seen Bhagwan in his physical form. So all of us who have received love from Bhagwan in the physical form, when people meet us, it is important that they feel the love that we have felt when we have seen Bhagwan. That's how love flows. So people who feel touched by today, there are 85 people in this session, people who, I can't see you, you can't see me, I have not physically talking to you there in your place. But if you can feel Bhagwan's love through this little talk that I'm trying to make, that is the love you must spread. How? Tomorrow when you meet your partners in your samiti, when you do seva, when you meet your Balvikas children, when you meet your Mahila Vibhag, when you go to the village to meet the elderly to serve them, the same love should flow. Then it is pure because you don't have an expectation. I am not doing it because you will do something for me. I don't even know any of you. You are not doing it because you will receive something. It's for pure joy. So that is prema or love, which keeps flowing continuously and therefore is pure. But if we have love for X, a person, thing, place, it can be anything. can be my love for pizza. It can be love for my place, my chair where I sit. It can be my love for a person. When it is fixed on one person, it stagnates. When it stagnates, it's no more pure, because it is based on desire. I want, so when you love a person, say you imagine, in our real world, that person should come with me, that person should talk to me, that person should give me a call every day, I should go with that person everywhere. So when we do that, that is very binding. It does not free you. Imagine loving anybody you come across. It gives you a sense of freedom. So that is the difference between prema and kama. And obviously, Bhagwan expects that we develop prema. Even a tiny, one of my biggest lesson came from one of my students. A couple of years ago, 5-6 years ago, when one of my students who got the best student award, when she came back to the campus, I asked her, so what is it that you want to do? What do you think you should do after getting this award? She said, ma'am, with every day, I want to try and become a little bit more like Bhagwan, loving, forgiving, giving. So much that people who have not seen Bhagwan, when they see me today, they should know, oh, if this person is so loving and caring and forgiving, how much more loving must have been Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, who has inspired this person. So all of us in the organization have this responsibility to develop prema and not kama. We have kama and we name it as prema. We use it synonymously. Let us today be very clear of the distinction between prema and kama. Swami gives one more example to make this clear. He says our life is like the rose plant. The rose, the beautiful, fragrant flower, is prema. It is beautiful. It attracts us. But if that prema is not genuine prema, it is kama, it is like the thorn, which will harm, which will hurt. So we should always be careful to develop prema and ensure that when we say we love something, it is true love and it is not kama being portrayed as prema. This is lesson number 2. Lesson number 3. We are all on the spiritual path. Even if you deny it, I want to assert it, because that's the reason why you are on this conference call today, why you are a part of the summer course, why you are listening to what you are listening. Let's presume some of you are not even able to listen with concentration because you're at home. There'll be some background noise happening, some distractions happening. Despite all that, please believe that each one of us, each one of you, is already on the spiritual path. Now, when you are on a path with a destination, you can choose different modes. I can choose to go walking. I can choose to go by bullock cart. I can choose to go by bicycle. I can choose to go by car. I can choose to go by bus. So even on your path, there can be different modes to reach. This understanding this and choosing the right, I should have said choose your mode in your path, ideally. So that is one very important thing that I thought these chapters of Bhagwan says in these chapters. Take, for example, our devotion to God. We are always jumping from one to the other. When something nice happens, we say, really, it was the Bhagwan's will. My daughter got admission in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Really, every day I have internet problem, but today's talk, there was no internet problem. Swami's will. Tomorrow, the state president is telling you, sister, you are very rude to all your fellow mates, so I cannot make you the youth coordinator this time. Abba, why the state president? He's very biased. So it goes by impression. He's very partial. Suddenly, it is not Swami's will. Now, all of us do this. Conveniently, certain times we say this is Swami's will. Certain other times we say it is not Swami's will. We are always jumping between responsibility that we take for ourselves or leaving the responsibility on God. When it is something good, we say, oh, Swami's will for me, perfect. When it is not suitable, we say, this man is behaving like this lady is behaving like this, so and so spoke rudely to me. That is not Swami's villa, that is because she is rude. So I would think that we must have choose one mode and stick to that, not jump. And in our devotion, Swami has given these two methods that you see on the screen. What happens to a little monkey? The little monkey has to cling tightly to its mother. The mother monkey will jump, hop, skip from one branch to the other as if it is alone. It's unmindful of the little one. It is the responsibility of the little one entirely to cling to the monkey tightly. Whereas, look at the experience of a kitten. The kitten has to do nothing. The mother kitten will bite tight. Now, this is an example of being stern and gentle at the same time, which is another lesson we have to learn from the cat. But that apart, the kitten has to do nothing. It has given itself up to its mother. The mother takes entire care. It doesn't have to hold anything. It is a mother's responsibility to move it where it wants. So in Indian philosophy, this is called Marjala Nyayam and Markata Nyayam. Marjala is the cat, Markata is the monkey. Now we have to choose or find out, actually today, I would think we should make a review. I will come to that, of whether our devotion is one of these or sometimes this, sometimes that. Now that's okay. We all start off thinking that I should have faith in Swami. I should be doing this. I should not do this. That is one. But there is still some mamakaram and ahankaram when we think like this. But if you are like the kitten, you leave it entirely on God. And that is somewhere close to Sharanagati, by which Arjuna became eligible to listen to the instructions of Krishna. So which mode we belong to? This Sharanagati or surrender is a very, very important term because only if you are able to surrender truly and completely, you are like the kitten. Then God takes care of you entirely. Otherwise, you are like the little monkey where you have to be responsible to keep holding on to him. You cannot slip. So I'm sure all of us want to choose being the kitten because then it's very easy. God takes care of us. We don't have to be responsible to be sticking to God. Now, for this to happen, to be like the kitten, most important thing is Sharanagati, which is another important concept Bhagwan beautifully describes or explains to us in these chapters. Of course, somebody told me once the best expansion for the word surrender is sure under. We are surely under his protection, like the kitten. That is Sharanagati. Now, I have a quick example of surrender. And I feel very blessed to say this because I feel in my entire lifetime, there's about a minute or two when I have experienced true surrender. Which is why I want to quote this example to all of you. So I went through a very major road accident and I was traveling from Prashantilayam to Whitefield, and Bhagwan was very kind to make all arrangements for some major surgeries that I had to go through, 2 surgeries. But then after the 2 surgeries, I had a lot of difficulty walking and I took a lot of time to come back to normal life. 2 or 3 years later, the pain in the hip, I had a hip surgery, was so severe. I was finding it very difficult to walk. And the doctor said that I needed a 3rd surgery to replace my hip. So a conversation was going on. We needed Bhagwan's permission, all that. Finally, this happened. A lot of incidents. It's a long incident, so I just cut it short to what is relevant in terms of Sharanagati. Finally, when I agreed to the surgery with Bhagwan's permission, when Dr. Sundaresh, who also performed on Bhagwan the surgery, got back to me and gave me a date for my surgery. It happened to be Ashtami. Now, Ashtami, those of us who know Bhagwan's practices know, Ashtami is not considered an auspicious day. And most important tasks are never undertaken on an Ashtami day. Bhagwan himself would dissuade us from doing anything on Ashtami day. So I was in a fix whether to say yes to the surgery or to feel superstitious and say it's Ashtami, we can't do it. Now, the doctor being a very busy person, I didn't want to disturb his schedule and go back and tell him, sir, it's Ashtami, do it on another day. That would be arrogant, I thought. But yet I was very concerned that it is Ashtami and maybe the surgery will not go right. Maybe there will be complications and so on. So I decided to pray for Bhagwan's direction. As I was praying, one day, somebody called me and said, a close friend said, this Ashtami is during Dasara. It is Durga Ashtami. So during Dasara, Durga Ashtami time, it is very good. It's not like other Ashtami. So you say yes to the surgery. I said, oh, correct, maybe. Immediately after that, somebody else called me and said, yesterday the Sanatana Sarthi came and I was reading. So-and-so in Puttaparthi met with an accident, Mr. Ratnakar actually. And that report was there in the Sanatana Sarthi, which said, Swami said to put off the operation for a day because Ashtami was there that day. So don't do it on Ashtami day. Swami doesn't like it. This is a very elderly senior devotee in the mandir told me this. And I was confused. Soon after that, a day or two after that, a colleague of mine who was praying for me called me and said, ma'am, I was reading Sathya Sai Speaks. I opened the page. It was Krishnashtami discourse in which Bhagavan is saying, everybody thinks Ashtami Navami are bad days. So you should not do good things. But Krishna and Rama were born on these days, so nothing wrong. It's a very good day. And the next discourse after that she read was Doctor's Day in Brindavan, where Swami was blessing Dr. Sundaresh, who was also going to do my surgery. So she felt it is a sign from Bhagwan that this is the right decision. Now imagine every day I got contradictory messages. One day somebody said do it, somebody said don't do it, somebody said, and everybody was basing their input on Bhagwan's message to them. I was so confused for a week. I did not respond. Finally, one night, I was at my wit's end. I got up, I went to the altar, and I told Bhagwan, Swami, I have no idea. I have no idea.
Sairam brother, kindly mute that person, please. Ma'am, you please continue.
So I said, Swami, I have no idea what is good for me, what is not good for me. If I'm supposed to go through a karmic difficulty, my surgery has to happen on Ashtami and some complication has to happen, it will happen. If it's not meant to, it will not. I do not know what's good or what is not good for me. For a few seconds that night, I felt a sense of complete surrender because I was completely confused. I almost can understand how Arjuna must have felt in the battlefield. Completely confused, full of doubts, just do not know what to do, which is when you feel you can surrender. When you come to your wit's end, when your brain cannot work anymore. I said, Swami, I leave it entirely to you. I do not know what is good for me. If you want the surgery, allow it to happen. If you don't want the surgery, you prevent it. That's all I know. I'm going ahead and saying yes. So I said yes to the doctor. Preparations were made. But this Ashtami thing was at the back of my mind all the while. Okay, despite I know that is lack of faith. Saturday was my surgery. The previous Saturday, I was asked to go and start my pre-operation tests. I went. I did half the tests in super specialty hospital at Puttaparthi. Then they said, come back on Thursday, admit yourself. Remaining tests we'll do on Thursday. Friday you'll be admitted. Saturday is the surgery. I said, okay. So I said, okay, Swami. So finally, on Ashtami, surgery is going to happen. If that is your will, you have always not done anything on Ashtami, but if this is your will, let me go with the will. Can you believe what happened? On Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning, I'm supposed to go to the hospital, right? Wednesday afternoon, Dr. Sundaresh calls me himself and he says, Dr. Rani, I'm very sorry, we have to postpone your surgery. I said, what? That's okay. You don't have to be sorry, sir. I'm and in my heart of hearts, I'm jumping with joy. What happened, sir? The Telangana agitation was going on. This is 2013. And Andhra Pradesh has announced a 2-day, 48 hours complete power shutdown as a part of Telangana agitation. So no major surgeries can happen. Now, in the 20 years history of the super specialty hospital, I haven't known of another time when the surgeries had to be stopped. And what did Bhagwan do? Have a nationwide strike, a statewide power shutdown. And I felt that was to just postpone and prevent my surgery on Ashtami. When Arjuna surrendered completely, he received the Bhagavad Gita. When Bhagwan blessed me, because that's also a blessing, I can't claim that I surrendered, blessed me with a few seconds of Sharanagati. What he did is historic to attend to my case. Of course, the story is a little long. In 2-3 sentences, I'll make it short. On the next, while this call came on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, they were shut down. The shutdown was lifted on Friday, and Saturday, actually, the hospital resumed work. But because my surgery was postponed, it didn't happen. It could have happened. And so on. Okay, a very big thing that happened on the Saturday. That's a long story, but that's not relevant here. So I think when we are at our wits' end, we just don't know what to do. Instead of breaking our head, thinking of this, thinking of that, asking this one's advice, asking that one's advice, best is to go to him and say, I just don't know what is best for me. You do what is best for me. That will give you a sense of surrender, which is very, very important in our lives. Bhagwan, while talking about the different paths, also talks about 2 beautiful analogies. Choosing to be Marjala or Markata, the kitten or the little monkey, is for the routine every day. But if you want to pursue the highest knowledge of Atma, he says you have to either choose Bhakti or Jnana. Now what happens? We are all, I have shown the picture of the chain because we are all bound in this world, bound by our desires, unfulfilled things, ambitions, and so on. Something or the other binds us to this world. How to get rid of this chain, of this bondage? He says either be a bhakta. If you are a bhakta, you feel there is a master and you are a servant. You are subservient to the master. So you get the feeling of dasoham. I am your dasa. And this will bring humility. This will make you feel smaller and smaller and smaller rather than feel big, like the ego makes you feel. Swami once told us, somebody was saying, Swami, how to get rid of ego? Somebody asked in the interview. And then, so beautifully Bhagavan said, whenever you feel egoistic, imagine this whole universe. In that universe, the earth is one tiny speck. On this earth, Asia is a small continent. In Asia, India is a tiny country. In India, Andhra Pradesh or Odisha is a small state. In that state, your district is a small part. In that district, you are a tiny, 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 tiny speck. When you think of this, you will not feel egoistic, Swami said, because we are after all nobodies. So if you follow the path of bhakti, you get the sense of dasoham. It will make you smaller and smaller and smaller, humble and more and more and more humble, no ego. Then Swami says you shrink and the chain will fall off by itself. The bondage will fall. So if we develop that sense of dasoham, it will fall off. There is another way to do it. Jnana, through jnana. People read a lot of literary text, scholarly texts. They know a lot. And then they say, I am consciousness. I am the eternal consciousness. That is Shivoham. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. And when you say that, you expand, you expand, you expand, because you are bigger than what you think you are. You are not this tiny body. Like the pot, Swami says, isn't it? The pot will break. The human body is like the pot, will merge back with the mud. But when you say, I am the divine, I am the divine, I am the divine, you expand and the chain will break. So there are two ways to break this chain, to get rid of our bondages. Either get immersed in bhakti, feel humble like a servant of the Lord, and get rid of all our egos. We become so shrunken that the chain will just fall off. Or follow the path of jnana, feel Shivoham, I am that, Tattvamasi, I am that, and expand, 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 and the chain will break by itself. Each of us, now this is like the story of Namdev and Gyandev. I'm sure all of us know this. They were traveling and they reached a well and the water was very low. They were thirsty. They wanted to drink this water. So what did Namdev do? He sat and chanted the name of the Lord, and his chanting was so powerful that the water level rose, came up, and he could just take it off his hands and drink. But what did Jnanadev do? For him, he followed a different method. So with his jnana, he turned himself into a bird, flew down the well, drank the water, came back and transformed himself. So both got the water from the well, but through two different means. I feel in the organization also, each of us has a different tendency, a different liking. Somebody likes to do more bhajan, Nagar Sankirtan. Somebody likes to do more Narayan Seva and village Seva. Somebody likes to attend summer course and study circle. We must identify the strengths of these people and accordingly allot them tasks. Because karma, bhakti, jnana are three different facets. While it has to come together, everybody has some one or the other predominant in them. And we should identify what is our predominant trait and focus on that until we reach a higher level where we can bring together all the three. This is the next. Choosing the right path is the next lesson. Now, lesson 4. We just spoke about how if we have dasoham, humility, the bondage will automatically go. We don't have to work for it. And the best example from the Bhagavad Gita is the war front is ready. Pandavas and Kauravas are facing each other. They have to just blow the conch to start the war when suddenly Dharmaraja gets off his chariot. He removes his armor. He lays down his weapons. And everybody is wondering, what is Dharmaraja going to do? Is he going to give up? No. He walks straight to Bhishmacharya, falls at his feet and says, Master, Acharya, you have been our father ever since our father left us. You are the oldest person in the family. I seek your blessings. I cannot fight you without your blessings. I seek your blessings. He goes to Dronacharya. He seeks his blessings from his guru who's fighting on the enemy side. So Bhagwan says, this humility in the scenario of a war. Now sometimes, this is not to make a comment, but on an exam day, when some students cross you, they're going in a hurry to the exam hall. They see a teacher, they say, ma'am, blessings. Swami bless you, right well. Somebody touches your feet. There'll be somebody who will just brush past you because he's so busy studying. Now, I remembered that scene when I was reading this in the Gita. Even in the moment of war, Somebody like Dharmaraja remembered that he has to seek the blessings of his elders who are fighting on the opposite side. Imagine. That requires, I feel, two qualities. One is gratitude, because he felt grateful to Bhishma, who took care of him as a father, and to Dronacharya, who taught him archery, and also a sense of humility. And the pictures you see are stalwarts, right? You see Ratan Tata, if you notice, such a big man, but has no qualms in public to touch our Bhagwan's feet. We also know of Abdul Kalam, we also know of Sachin Tendulkar, Sunil Gavaskar, so many people who have come to Bhagwan and who in deep humility and gratitude touch his feet. I think as a generation which is largely ignoring and neglecting our elders, this because every time we seek the blessings of elders, we only add to goodwill. This is another lesson that I found from the Bhagavad Gita. Lesson 5, and very important, because for Bhagwan this was a very, very important thing. This is something he was very particular that all his students develop self-confidence. Self-confidence is confidence in the self. What does confidence in the self mean? To have faith in yourself. When you have faith, what happens? You don't have fear. I know it's 8:30. I'm trying to quickly wind up. Beautiful example from Bhagwan again. Bhagwan says, when a tiny bird sits on a tiny twig of a tree, it's not even a whole tree. When there is a breeze, the twig will shake, sway in the breeze. Is the bird afraid that it will fall away, fall off the branch, or the branch will break? No. Why is it not afraid? Because it is dependent on its own wings and not on the branch or the twig. Similarly, if we are dependent on our higher self, if we are dependent on a higher power, if we are dependent on Bhagavan than on our abilities, we will always be fearless. And if we are fearless, we will be faithful. I think faith and fear have some connection. I always feel if we have faith, we will never have fear. If we have fear, that means we lack faith. So the faithful are fearless. Even in today's times, let's talk about the pandemic. Let's talk about Corona. Those who have faith that nothing will happen to them, or what is destined is what is going to happen to them, are not afraid. I have a cousin who's a psychiatrist in the UK. She was saying how she had a patient very recently who's got corona phobia. The first time ever they came up with this term. Somebody who has developed anxiety, a psychological disorder, because of the fear of corona. Now, I feel all phobias and manias happen in the world because we lack faith and self-confidence, confidence in our higher self. So fear and faith do not go together. This is another lesson that we can remember from our reading of the text. The last, I think, or no, the last but one, lesson 5 is very, very, very important. In fact, this should be one of the first things, but it's the most difficult, so I have put it here: exercising self-control. Now, what does this mean? Our senses are the gateways through which anything enters our minds. If I say tinku pato, can you imagine what that is? Any of you? No. If I say breakfast idli vada, which I'm sure all of you are waiting for, you can immediately imagine white, fluffy, round idlis, crispy vadas, some chutney. You imagine based on the plate that you generally eat, and somebody's imagined a steel plate, somebody's imagined a ceramic plate, and so on and so forth. Why? Because you have seen it, you have had it, you have tasted it. So you're able to imagine. This means only if your senses, any 5 of them, has experienced it, it will be there in your mind. If your senses don't experience it, it will not enter your mind. Which is why it is important to in Puttaparthi, Kulwant Hall, when you enter Kulwant Hall, they do a frisking and they say these things are not allowed. inside the mandir. Why? Because it's a mandir. You should not come there with a cell phone. You should not come there with a gun. You should not come there with certain things. You're coming to mandir for a certain purpose. Similarly, every time you get frisked in the gate, you should remember we should do the same thing for our senses. Frisk. When I want to see something, ask, this is required for me to see. If I see it, it is going to be permanently in my mental scape, in my mindscape. So, which is why, when I talk to youngsters about reading good books or watching good movies, they say, so what, ma'am? We read this book, whatever is the bad part, we ignore it. We only take in the good part. Now, that's a very weak argument, because once your eyes, your ears have taken it in, it will be in the subconscious mind, which is why Bhagwan says. Now, coming to this, I remember a very beautiful incident, one summer course, exactly. The girls' hostel, then the boys' hostel, and then the eating place, Kalyan Mandap. So the girls have to always cross the boys' hostel to go for all their meals. So Bhagwan himself, this is from Bhagwan himself, and I'm quoting him verbatim. He was giving us books and diaries and badges for the summer course, like I told you. And he told us, girls, you're all girls. And in this, participants are also all girls. That's why I'm saying this also. He said, when you walk across the boys' hostel, put your heads down and walk in lines. Don't look here and there. That is kaki drishti. Kaki drishti means like the crow. If you watch a crow, you will find that the crow keeps looking here and there. Swami says that's not what girls should do when they walk on the road. Now, while it is about the modesty of a girl, it is also about what you allow the eyes to take in. Because only when Swami has gone ahead and given us a detailed explanation for this. First you see, then you see somebody, then you like somebody, then you make efforts to contact somebody, then you associate with that person. It goes on. So what if you don't see at all? That's why Swami says don't look where it is not required. I know of another instance. One of my senior teachers in college, when she finished her graduation at Anandpur, Swami sent her to Tirupati SV University to do her post-graduation. So one weekend she was traveling to Anandpur because Bhagwan was at Anandpur. She came and Bhagwan is giving a discourse. In the discourse, Swami said something about movie posters which will be stuck on the road. When we are traveling, we see a lot of posters on the road. Swami is talking a lot about how when you see that, you should not look towards that. You must close your eyes. They are not scenes that are necessary for your mind. A long time Swami spent in the discourse talking about that. And then when Swami finished the discourse and Swami was going out of the prayer hall, Swami passed by this individual who had traveled from Tirupati and come. Swami spoke to her softly and Swami said, Nike cheppede. Without anybody else hearing, he said it under his breath. I'm telling you. And then she wondered what it was, and she went back and thought about the whole discourse, and she remembered that while she was traveling by bus, her eyes fell on a couple of posters that were on the way. And Swami was minding that because when your eyes fall on a particular scene, that scene is likely to enter your mind. And then your mind starts playing tricks. I'll give you one more quick example. One Bhagwan was on the campus, staying on the campus. There was a very senior teacher. So she was going to her class. She came out of the staff room to go to the class. In her hand, she had the attendance register and her textbook for the class. As she came out, Bhagwan was in the corridor. Bhagwan was very pleased to see her. She said, Swami, can I take namaskar before going to the class? Swami said, take. Because those years Swami used to stay for many days, and so classes would go on as usual. So Swami said, take namaskar. So she kept her book on the ground, and then she touched Swami's feet. When she raised her head, suddenly she found that Swami's face has changed. Swami was looking angry. Just now he was smiling, he gave namaskar. What happened? She wondered. Then you know what? Swami looked at her attendance register, which was covered with a newspaper. And on the newspaper was printed an advertisement for a movie. Swami said, Idena class తీసుకువెళ్ళేది? Is this what you take to your class? How will the students listen to you? Will they look at the movie poster or will they listen to your class? Don't do anything that distracts the students. So Swami was very, very protective of us. It is out of his love that he always told us, control your senses. Look at only what you need to see. Don't watch now. Today with the social media and WhatsApp, hundreds of unnecessary things come to our phones. Smell only what you need to smell. Hear only what you need to hear. Why? Because it disturbs our emotions. Swami gives the example in the summer course. He says, you are here, your ears are with you. But behind you, somebody is praising you. Only if you hear it, you get the emotion of happiness. Somebody is criticizing you. If you hear it, you feel sad. So happiness and sadness have been caused because your ears heard something from outside. So hear only what you need to, listen only what you need to listen to. And then Bhagwan says a beautiful thing when it comes to tongue. He says, eyes have the job of only seeing, nose has the job of only smelling, but the tongue has the two jobs are given to the tongue, tasting and talking. Because it has double responsibility, we have to doubly check it. Talk less, which is very difficult. But I feel a lot of problems that we face in our organizations, in our families, happen because we do not have self-control. If we speak to somebody, ask ourselves, is this useful? Is this true? Is it necessary? Only if these three things are right, we need to talk. Do I need to say this to that person? Is what I'm saying right, or is it colored by my own imagination? Is it necessary to say it now? So, exercising sense control, I'm sure once again the Sai youth who's spending time on summer course, now is it useful listening to one talk and it's going to make a big difference? Yes. Swami tells us a Chinna Katha, right? Guruji was teaching his disciples and a VIP enters the hermitage. The Guruji does not get up to go and receive the VIP, so he's very angry. Then the the VIP says, what is the use of telling all this to the students as if your mere words is going to make a big transformation in them? And the Guruji says, yes, of course it will make a difference. Oh, I don't believe it. And then what does the Guruji say? He says, he calls one of his youngest students and he says, go throw this man out of this room. Hearing these words, the VIP gets so angry and annoyed and he starts abusing the Guruji. Then the Guruji says, look here, nobody threw you out. I only used a few words. Those words brought so much of anger in you, which means words can have an impact, which is why we must listen to the right words. We must use the right words. So in all ways, the senses, if it is kept under control, see only what you need to see. Talk only what you need to talk. Listen to only what you need to listen to. If this is practiced, a lot of our spiritual progress is automatically taken care of. And by giving us opportunities like this, like what? Like the summer course, getting us, Swami says, when you have speakers, like this morning, every day you have a speaker. Swami says it's like a tourist guide. When you go to a new place, you want a guide to tell you the history of the place. When I was telling you about how summer courses were really in the past, I was behaving like a tourist guide, telling you what I knew of the past. So similarly, our sense of self-control, how it benefits us, all this is, he says, even the scriptures can be our guides. So all these are guidances from scriptures and people with experience. Yeah, till now, these are the steps that we have looked at. First, acceptance of a spiritual master. All of us are so lucky to have Bhagwan as not only our master, but as our God. And then study of the scriptures, not necessarily Veda. Of course, Bhagwan has made Veda very, a big part of our lives. But scriptures, any scripture, Bhagavad Gita, once again, he says, just reading it is not enough. Studying and understanding it is important. And then implementing it is important. Austerity, like this: wake up at 5, keep maunam, read spiritual texts. All this is an austere life. Don't be carried away by materialism, sense control we just spoke about. This will give us the highest spiritual knowledge. Who am I? Which is what we started this talk about, to understand who am I, because we discovered I am Rama, I am Krishna, I am Rani, I am Uma, I am Lakshmi, where the last part is changing, but the first part I is unchanging, and therefore that is real. That is true spiritual knowledge. Of course, how to achieve all this, Swami gives us a very simple step, which is why I added this. This shouldn't be the last step. Actually, my talk is over with this step, but I'm saying this because in Bhagavad Gita, he said, Ananyas chinten tomam yejana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyam. Whoever thinks of me, his welfare I will take care. Now, what happens here is we want God to take care of us all times, at all times. But we don't want to think of him at all times. We want to think of him part-time, but he should take care of us all times. Now, there is some contradiction here. So I wanted all of us to think of that. How can we do that? Because we started with online and technology. My last 3 slides are also coming back to that. Imagine we are all like computers. Every computer is a dummy. Our human body is also a dummy without the operating system. The computer cannot operate without Windows in it. Even if you buy the high-end Dell computer for 1.5 lakhs, you are not going to be able to use it unless the operating system or Windows is installed in it. Similarly, our human body is a waste unless the spirit of Sai. Let our operating systems be, I like to call it only Sai, be installed in us, and then we have to install all the apps that we need for different functions. Sathya, we have to be honest in certain situations, we have to be righteous, we have to be peaceful, we have to be loving. These are the different apps that we have to install in ourselves so that our lives can run smoothly. Now, what happens? The OS has many versions. Our Sai also has many versions. He was in his form until 10 years ago, 9 years ago. Today, we have to go by the formless one. What are the updates that we need? What are the add-ons that are coming? So at the end of this summer course, which we'll go through for a whole week, I would like you to very seriously think on these lines. Which version of myself am I? What was I 5 years ago? What was I 10 years ago? What am I today? Is there a quality addition? Have I updated myself? If you have a computer that you bought in 1995, most likely it is not working now because it is updated. So if you are what you have been in 1995 and you have not improved at all, you have had no updates and no add-ons, then you're probably leading a useless life. So the same thing that you apply to technology, we have to apply to our own lives. And I would like you to actually take stock of this. And maybe in the evening session, if required, we can have a discussion where each one expresses how they think their spiritual journey, what updates have happened to them because Bhagwan has touched their lives, what add-ons they would like now. After the summer course, what is the add-on? Yesterday I was working on my computer. I wanted to convert my my PPT into a PDF. That add-on was missing, so I downloaded and put it there. That makes my computer, more efficient. Similarly, what is the add-on that I want that makes my life more efficient? Little more self-control, choosing the right path, being humble. Whatever is the add-on that we want to have. I will close with this beautiful shlokam, which is a favorite of mine. And I'm using this shlokam also to bring home another important point, and that is, this is taken from Guru Gita. Why am I saying about Guru Gita? Because we are talking about Bhagavad Gita. And most often our knowledge is that there is only one Gita. There are 60 varieties of Gita amongst the scriptures. And my favorite are Guru Gita, Uddhava Gita, and Bhagavad Gita. These are 3 that I have a little bit of familiarity with. And in Guru Gita, I came across this shlokam, which I hope can become your motto from today. What is this motto? What does the Guru Gita say? It says, Guru Murtim Smared Nityam. Means Guru's murti, form. Whoever is your Guru, for us it is Bhagwan. Whatever is your Smared Nityam, always remember, keep reflecting on the form of your Guru. Gurur Nama Sada Japet, whenever you're free time, you're walking from home to the Samiti or you're driving, let the name of the Lord go on. Sada Japet, always let the Guru's name be chanted. Gurur Agnam Prakurvati, let me always do Guru's Agnya. Whatever I do, let it be my Guru's instruction. Gurur Anyan Na Bhavayet, let me not think of anybody except the Guru. If our lives can be guided by these 4 principles, that we meditate on the Guru's form, that we do japa of Guru's name, that our deeds are based on Guru Agnya, and we think of none as important as our Guru, none else but Guru is in our minds, then our lives will be a blessed one. We will receive, what is it that we're going to receive? Satisfaction, contentment, joy, harmony, bliss. It's not that some award is waiting for us somewhere. What we feel in our own minds is the reward. If you were doing something other than attending this lecture now, if that would give you more joy, peace than this, then that's what you should have done. So end of the day, in our lives, we should choose what gives us real peace. I'm not talking about eating an ice cream gives us happiness, listening to bhajans gives us happiness, but which is higher of the two is something that we have to figure out with our own discrimination. With these few words, I would, I'm sorry, I've overshot time by about 20 minutes. I wish to bring this talk to a close. I hope we have a lot of things to mull over during the day. I hope the participants have been able to take some notes of some important points, the 6 lessons, and we can definitely, discuss commonly. It's not that I know better than you, so I will answer all your questions, but we are all pilgrims on the same journey, and I hope we can discuss further these things in the evening. Jai Sai.
Thank you, ma'am. There is overwhelming response from the audience side. They even don't want this session to end so soon. Well, we have reached the time, so we will carry it to the next session, hopefully. As you rightly said, ma'am, while youth today are busy occupying themselves with anything except God, our Sai youth, as you put it, making themselves available for this lifelong sojourn of listening to his words, meditating upon the subtlety and significance of his message, will definitely make them eligible to be the aruna of their lives someday. And of course, the Sanatana Sarathi, Bhagavan, is there in the Kurukshetra of their life to guide them in the right direction. Thank you so much, ma'am, for making us understand the essence of Bhagavad Gita in such a short span of time with so much of simplicity and profundity. We are really grateful to Bhagavan and to you. Thank you also for taking us back to your golden students' day and sharing such beautiful, heartwarming experiences. We will love to listen you also in the evening. So thank you so much, ma'am. We also thank our guest observers today, Nayantara Mausi, Pushpamitra, Pushpa, Lata Mausi, Rashmi Mausi, all the elders for their gracious presence. Also big thanks to the disciplined participants for their patient listening. Last but not the least, we thank you, Bhagavan, from the bottom of our hearts for being the wind beneath our wings. We pray you, Swami, to kindly bless us with a bhajan in your golden voice, which will be followed by Om and 3 times Shantis. Your bhajan, Swami. Jai Sai Ram.
भय हरण वंदित चरण भव भय भय हरणा वंदित चरणा जय राघव जय माधव चौधरी जय राघव जय माधव जय राघव जय माधव चौधरी मंगल चरणा कलिमल दगना मंगल चरणा कलिमल दगना नारायण केशव नारायण केशव
नारायण केशव
जय राघव जय माधव चौधरी जय राघव जय राघव जय माधव चौधरी जय मंगल चरणा कलिमल दगना नारायण केशव नारायण केशव जय राघव जय माधव चौधरी जय राघव जय माधव
शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।